What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. As promised, as mentioned in the previous video, today I'm gonna talk about depression, and not just any kind of depression. I'm gonna talk about my depression. I'm gonna talk about how I experience depression, because lesson number one: depression is experienced differently with each person who has it. And this is perfect because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This month is popping. Like, this is the kind of month, like whenever there's kind of like awareness month, that's when you learn the most, because so many people are just posting like random facts all the time. So it's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to be educated. So with this video, y'all, I really invite you guys, I really request and deeply ask that you take all of your thoughts and opinions and misconceptions, maybe whatever you might think or know about depression, and I really ask that you just put it aside for the next few minutes. I ask that you're present with me. I ask that you're just here to learn and just hear me, you know, hear me. To start off, let's first acknowledge that we're human, right? You and I, we're human, and humans are emotional creatures. And by emotional, I don't mean like this society's misconception bullshit about crying or being like whiny little bitches. I'm saying emotional as in that humans are wired to be able to experience emotions. So if I'm saying that we're emotional creatures, we're literally wired to process emotions, then let's talk about our brains. The human brain, I'm not just talking about my brain, I'm talking about like yours too. Like, our human brain is wired a certain way. Our brains are wired to have certain kind of functions and abilities. So I'm talking like amygdala. The amygdala associates emotions to memories. So without the amygdala, for example, like they did these studies on these monkeys, right? And they took their amygdalas out and they were completely emotionless. Like if something that usually would tick them off happened, they wouldn't be ticked off. They were just completely numb to the situation. They were completely emotionless. All right, and then we got something like the hippocampus. The hippocampus basically creates memories. I think that's like the simplest way to describe it. You can Google it, it's 2018, but like the hippocampus basically is able to take a short-term current moment and then turn it into a long-term memory. If you're happy, like if we're happy, and if your brain translates happiness to dancing, that you might be in the mood to dance. And if you're tired and if you're feeling groggy, then maybe your brain's like, all right, let's just stay in bed. So then if you didn't have the hippocampus, then the situation would look like when if you've seen 50 First Dates, you know how she just kind of like doesn't remember. That's basically it. Like, you might have a certain kind of habit, but then you might not remember like why you have the habit. It's really interesting. Okay, so now it turns out that our brains, our human brains, right? Your brain and my brain is literally wired. Like, it's there. Like, you can't ignore that shit. You human. It's there, right? So we're literally developed, we are meant to process and experience our emotions. So when people give advice like, yo, get over it, or like don't let that shit get to you, it doesn't make sense, because it's basically the kind of advice where you're just kind of like, nah, stop being human. You see where I'm going with this? Alright, so now that we've acknowledged that we are human and that we're emotional creatures, and we're emotional creatures because our brains, every single one of us almost, are wired to be emotional, to process and experience emotions, let's talk about depression. When I'm talking about depression, I'm literally talking about like the mental disorder. I'm not talking about being sad. I'm not talking about being upset or being mad or whatever the fuck. I'm literally talking about the condition, the medical, psychological, science-based condition. So that leads me to lesson number two. Yo, being depressed, being sad is not the same as having depression. So here's one way that depression happens. In this particular way of talking about depression is developed by a constant, consistent episodes of experiencing the same or similar emotion. So if you're sad and you constantly feel sad and you don't get a break from life and you constantly feel sad, then your brain is basically continuously being conditioned to think a certain way, to a point where if you experience it consistently enough, it basically, that becomes like the neutral state. Like being that emotion becomes like the neutral state. It's your starting point basically. But remember, we as humans experience our emotions, process our emotions accordingly to what's happening in life. So if you look at it that way, I'm not too sure if like advice like get the fuck over it or listen to Jocko podcast is such a great idea. I didn't need a doctor to tell me that I have depression, and like I knew that because it's kind of like, look at my life. Of course I have depression. And I'm not saying that because I'm putting myself short. I'm not saying that because I'm feeling sorry for myself, and I'm not saying that I'm weak or anything like that, or that I need to listen to more Jocko podcasts and work on my mental toughness. But I'm saying that because I'm acknowledging myself as I am functioning as a human, and as I allow my brain to just kind of let it process emotions accordingly to the events that happen, and because of the consistency, because of the constant wave of the similar emotion, of fucking course I have depression. Of course. And this point right here is the reason why I think it's so important for everybody to try to talk as much as possible about mental health, because like when I was a kid, when I was 5-6 years old, or even when I was 17 or 18 or 19 or 20, I didn't know of the resources of meditation or mindfulness practices or the power of prayer and power of positivity, things like that. Two, I didn't care for it. I didn't give a fuck about it. Even if my dad gave me a book called Power of Positivity, I thought positivity was bullshit, and therefore I didn't read it until just recently, which is like literally a decade later. Now I know, yes, but the young Jiggy didn't. But anyways, that's how depression in a certain sense was developed for me. And in other cases, depression just is what it is. In other cases, it literally is a chemical imbalance. For other cases, it literally is postpartum depression, where the hormones are just so everywhere during pregnancy or like after pregnancy. That's that. Or like or seasonal depression, where weather can literally affect us. Like sun really is important. Sun really does play a huge role in our mood and our emotions, and that's a big reason why I moved from fucking like State College, Pennsylvania, and New York, the brick. We call it brick. It's not even cold. It's brick. Like there's no sun. It's all brick buildings. Ain't no sun coming through the buildings. It's just cold as fuck. It's brick. And then I come to California, and that was a big reason why. And because it is just a chemical imbalance for most cases, that's why there's fucking like medication. That's why some people take medication, or sometimes people do marijuana, and then there are people like me. I just don't want to look for outside resources to try to heal myself, and that's just my choice. But everybody is different. Like everybody is so different, and that's why I made the previous video, because it's so important to acknowledge the unique stories behind every single human, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whether it's whatever else, schizophrenia, whatever it is. There's so many different misconceptions and misunderstanding, and also miscommunication, because everything is always two ways, right? Two-way communication. So like there's just so many assumptions out there. That's why asking questions is so important. I think that's why explaining, taking time to be patient and educating is so important. And I think that's why Mental Health Awareness Month is so fucking dope. It's so exciting. I'm going to show you guys a clip from a video that I made a few weeks ago, and I made it just to make it. I had no intentions of sharing it. I just wanted to sort of document that moment and just kind of like be present with that moment, and just kind of sort of remember maybe months from now, maybe just kind of like see where I was at truly. In March, the entire month, I was in an extremely dark state, and like when my depression, the tides are high and it hits hard, it hits fucking hard. hard. It hits hard to a point where like I have suicidal thoughts, and I've attempted suicide before, years ago in college, but like the thoughts are so quick to come back. They're very easy to come back. And me, because I know that I can beat those thoughts because I've been through it before, I try to just remind myself that I can beat it, and that I can go through it again, and that I will rise and I will win the battle. The reason why I want to say what I'm about to say right now is to show you that depression and mental health, it doesn't look like anything. It doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't really feel like anything either. And my experience with depression is experienced differently with everybody, but how I experience depression is I always describe it as like a sea of water, right? So you have the waves, and some days it's just a constant chill flow. But then there are these times when the tides are very high. It gets to a point where I start having suicidal thoughts. My suicidal tendencies, it's not new to me. That's me being real. I'm being honest. I've been this way since my teenage days. I've had depression basically almost all of my life. I'm not very familiar with my life without depression. I didn't need a doctor to diagnose me with depression. I knew I had it all along. The only reason why I was diagnosed with depression was because my senior year of college, I went to get myself checked out because I thought I had like pneumonia or something. I thought I was sick, and it turned out that I had depression, and it just like confirmed what I already knew, but at the same time it made me feel like shit. And they tried to give me pills, and I took the medication once, and then I was like done with it. I was just like, no, I personally just like don't believe that my depression can be cured by pills. I don't want to depend on medication. The only medication that I would ever depend on is probably my insulin. But when it comes to depression, when it comes to my mental health, I want to go about it spiritually and without medication. I've realized that I don't know how to allow myself to be happy. I have a very difficult time allowing myself to be happy. I have a very difficult time giving myself permission to have fun. I always told myself that if I had time to have fun, I had time to do work. And especially even after I quit my full-time job, especially because I pursued this whole like entrepreneurship shit, like whenever I'm like, if I have time to have fun, I have time to do work. So I did work. And if I had spare time, then I would be thinking about how my girlfriend's still at work, so I should be doing work and trying to make money, right? I haven't rested, and it's to a point where I get anxiety. I almost like, if I don't have anything to do, I can't allow myself to not work. I know what I preach. I'm very clear on knowing what I preach, and it's that to allow yourself to be human, to allow yourself to be emotional, to allow yourself to be vulnerable, and let yourself strengthen in that way. You're not a machine, you're a human. Let yourself rest, all that. I get it. I know that. And so it's just that with me, my definition was going to the gym, and I thought going to the gym was enough. I mean, I went 25 years without really experiencing like the extravagant vacations and cruises that everybody else fucking goes to and puts on Instagram. I haven't experienced that, so I thought I would be fine. And so like gym is fun to me. Training late at night is fun to me. But then I realized that even at the gym, I have standards. Even at the gym, I have goals. There's nothing that I do that I don't have a standard for, and that's where I need to allow myself to take a break and have a rest. So with that, it's gotten to a point where I just had this really bad episode where I just wanted to die. And I know me saying it in that way sounds light, I don't know, as if it's nothing, but like it's easy for me to talk about it now because I've talked about it, but this past March was really hard. I couldn't figure out what was actually going on with me. I knew that my depression was acting up again, but it was just different, and it was putting me in a really dark space. I told the love of my life that I wanted to end my life, and out of all the hard shit that I've been through in my life, that's the hardest shit that I've ever done. To tell this person that I want to spend the rest of my life with that I want to end my own life. It's really hard. But I can't imagine the pain that she feels when she hears it. There was this one night when I was just like in my car in the highway, just like crying and screaming, and I really wanted to just crash into a truck or just off-road. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me when it gets to a point where I've dedicated my life to helping others and wanting to see others, beat suicide and suicidal initiatives and just take care of their mental health and their emotional health. And I've committed my life to just like help other people, but I'm over here wanting to die. And that was my cue. That doesn't make any fucking sense. One thing that I know has been driving me crazy actually is social media. The number of fake ass motherfuckers out there, it's just getting too much to me. These influencers, they're not doing shit. They're not influencing shit. Everything is filtered. Everything is edited. It's not a lot out there is real anymore. And anything that is real, anything that is genuine and authentic, no light is being shed on it. And that, I know that's a huge part of why I've been just so just kind of fucked up. So I've had to step away from social media, and I'm becoming more aware more than ever the kind of people that I follow. Even though I've always been aware, now I'm like super aware. I don't really fuck with a lot of people actually. I sometimes just want to unfollow everybody and just leave it at that, or just maybe just leave social media as a whole. I don't know. I guess my point of this is that if I want to see something in the world, and I have to lead with that. So I want to be the example that I want to see, or the change that I want to see, right? So everything super unfiltered, no fucking fancy ass edits. Also because I don't have a videographer. I guess this is my own way of doing what I want to see in the world, and we'll see where this goes. Even somebody like me, who people always base off of what they see but don't get to know. Very often, more often than not, I want to end my own life, and through that I want to help others. So you never know, man. Always check in with people. Always check in with your friends. This isn't some like bullshit, pity bullshit. I don't need your I'm sorry's. That's not the point of this video. I'm straight up, it's not that deep. I'm just telling you, like, this, it is what it is. Don't take it anything deeper. Yeah. What really helped me get through that month was I saw this video by Elliot Hulse. And Elliot Hulse is somebody that I look up to tremendously. I've been watching him since I was a teenager. He made this video about depression and basically like how to heal from depression. And basically it's not healing from depression, it's almost healing through depression. And how you do that is, he says that it's basically to acknowledge that human beings, our nature goes through a seasonal cycle just like nature does. So humans, obviously, as a part of the environment of the universe, we also go through cycles, and that we go through our spring, summer, fall, and winter. And so when we approach our winter state, winter season, that's when, like, if you were to imagine that you're a tree, right, and you're just kind of like constantly giving your energies, and these are branches, so you're just like giving your energy here and there, and then now the colors of the leaves are changing, you're changing, I'm changing, and then sort of the leaves start falling off, and then the energy source just becomes to self, and he describes this as depressing. So all of the energy forces are coming back to self, to center. And it's basically these winter seasons where you where we sleep in, we hibernate basically, because we function according to nature. So this is when we're hibernating and just don't feel like doing much at all. And he even said, like, you don't always have to wake up early and go lift. And I was like, shit, ain't nobody really like to tell it to me like he did. Like I wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. and go lift and go to the gym and then do my thing the rest of the day. They gotta grind, gotta hustle. I'm an entrepreneur, got a business, blah, blah, blah. Trying to motivate people, trying to inspire people, blah, blah, blah. Grind. The beast mode never turns off. Fuck it. Winter season is all about self and taking care of self. And this season is so necessary because, even Jesus had a winter season. Even Jesus had to like pray alone sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like even Jesus was like, when people were like inviting him to pray together and shit, Jesus like knew. He fucking knew, and he was like, nah, I'm gonna go do my own thing. I'm gonna go up on that hill and pray by myself. Because that's what he needed, right? So the way that Elliot Hulse put it made so much sense to me, that to allow myself to just go through my winter seasons and not to fight it. That was the most important thing. He said, don't fight depression. Embrace it. Acknowledge it. Love it. Just embrace it. And I was like, okay, all right. So in 1 week, I spent the whole month of March miserable. But in 1 week after watching that video, I allowed myself to just sleep. I didn't fight it. I didn't make myself feel guilty about not waking up at 5 to go to the gym. Like I didn't fight it. I was just kind of like calm. I was like, okay, sleeping is what I needed to do. Okay. Went about my day. I wanted to make videos, but I didn't force myself to make videos. I didn't force myself to come up with ideas. Nothing. I was just like, okay, sitting through my ideas, writing them down. Okay. But I wasn't at an energy state where I was able to give energy. I couldn't make these videos, y'all. Like, it takes a lot of energy. And because it's a give. And I just couldn't give at that moment. And I just allowed myself to be like, okay, I'm not at my best self to be able to give myself to others. Because if I try to give right now, I'm not giving my best. I'm not giving my best self to others. That's not serving others. That's not helping me. That's not helping them. So I was like, alright, don't make videos for a little bit. Took time off of social media because I just had no energy to give a fuck. So I was like, okay, I don't need to check on Instagram. Just let myself just breathe through each thought, each process, whatever could be guilt. I told myself nah. And in 1 week of allowing myself to just embrace my winter season, shit, soon enough came the springtime. Because that's the cycle. Comes the springtime, and now I'm blooming again. I'm in a good state again. I'm in a very good emotional and mental state again. I don't feel groggy. I don't feel like I don't feel burnt out. My motivation is coming back. My fire is coming back. My desire to want to serve so badly, the passion is back. I'm ready to give again. Because I'm blooming. This is my spring season. This is where I'm just like growing again. And once my summer season comes, that's when I'm fucking going. You see what I'm saying? And I think that was really important advice. And like, I'm noticing that a lot of people lately are also coming out with their depression, and that they're either sharing that they have depression, or that they're realizing that they have depression, and they're just kind of starting their journey of healing and getting to know it, because you gotta get to know your depression in order to heal properly. That's why, like, I think that this video is coming around at a really accurate time, really good time, and I just never want these conversations to ever stop. Yo, like, people are saying that Avicii passed by suicide, and that fucking hurts. But I don't want to wait for another celebrity to pass by suicide in order for us to talk about mental health. I want this to be a conversation every fucking day. First and foremost, like, thank you so much for sitting through the video and watching the video and like giving a fuck enough to watch the video in the first place. Thank you so much for your open-heartedness, being so open to want to learn about this. And this is just my story, y'all. This is just one person out of like billions. If I were to ask y'all to just like email me with your stories, how you experience depression, or maybe you have other mental health disorders, or you just struggle with something, you experience something, maybe if I just kind of ask you guys, like, email me your stories, would you do that? Would you want to share? I think there are a lot of people out there who want to share, so email me your stories. But anyways, that's it. That's the video. Thank you so much for sticking through. Vulnerability is Dope t-shirts right here on sale. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.